No questions as I roll on the deck about the bush like rock. Put one in his chest like pop. Push me, bitch, I got anger S. Wish you didn't fuck with my son. How? Yeah, I'm about to fucking flex.
I want to talk to you about your relationship with Tupac.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love him so much. Hearing his voice is nice as hearing my mother and father's. Just hearing your mother's voice, there's just something to it. And hearing Tupac's voice makes me feel just like I heard my mom or my dad's voice. Both of my parents passed away.
Wow.
And so I do look to, I'll tell you, I believe you can call on your ancestors. Sometimes I often talk to Tupac and say, help me out here a little bit, Tupac. So yes, I could talk for years about Tupac. I used to go to bookstores in Buffalo, New York, because I knew I would never meet Tupac. Obviously, he passed away, but there's no way for me to say thank you to him. There was 4 years of my life I lived in the woods, and I didn't have anybody. I had nobody. I lived out in the woods by myself in a strange place. I didn't know anybody. I didn't want to know anybody. And people would call me from my past, let's say, and I would silence the ringer on the phone, and I would turn Tupac up. And that's all I wanted. I didn't need anybody else, And so you'll hear me, a lot of my songs referring to him. You might have listened to that one song I said, with Pac, the shit don't stop.
Yeah.
You'll hear me, a lot of my songs I refer to him. So yes, absolutely. But look, I went to the bookstores in Buffalo because I knew the only way, I had no way to say thank you to Tupac for holding my head up when I couldn't. Hold your head. The night my dad died, I put his song "Hold Your Head" on repeat over and over and over the whole night, and I sat there and I stared at the walls, and I just listened to Tupac's "Hold Your Head" on repeat all night long. And so I went to bookstores when I lived in Buffalo, and I would go to the book section where they would have all the musicians, and I would gather almost all the Tupac books I could, and I'd leave one. I'd leave one there in case someone wanted to buy it. And I would gather all the Tupac books, and I would walk around the bookstore, and I'd place them in strategic locations where people would come in and see his big, bright smile. And I took pictures. I have pictures. And that was my way of saying thank you so much. Let me just help you with visibility a little bit here. So someone walking in a bookstore, there's a huge book of Tupac right there in their face. So I could absolutely talk about Tupac forever.
And how did that influence you musically?
Tupac, how did he influence me musically? I got very angry in my life. And you'll hear it in my rapping. Most people who know me they can't believe it's me rapping because I'm extremely nice in real life. I'm real gentle, quiet, soft-spoken. And then you hear me rap and this angry monster comes out, right? And they often said that about Tupac.
Yeah.
You're super nice and friendly and bubbly in real life, and then you hear his songs and you're like, he can intimidate you, he could scare you. And so actually, just now that you mentioned that, they also said that about Tupac. So I got very angry in my life. And I found a Tupac CD underneath my childhood bedroom, my childhood bed. And I put it in, and I heard, I have a note somewhere what exact song struck me. I can't remember the title right this moment because I have not slept in 2 weeks trying to get this man ready for the AFM. And I literally have not slept this last week while he's been out there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm a little sluggish right now. Now, I found a Tupac CD underneath my childhood bed that I didn't go back and visit often because I was a workaholic. I lived 2 hours away, and I happened to go down to visit my parents, and I happened to go down to where my parents live, and I found a Tupac CD underneath my bed, and one of the songs off the album, I didn't listen to rap. I was obsessed with Dave Matthews Band and Grateful Dead, and Grateful Dead, Dave Matthews Band. But I found a Tupac CD underneath my childhood bed, and I put it in, and one of the songs struck me because of the anger in it. And it was over for Dave Matthews. I listened to Tupac 4 years straight. I did nothing but study Tupac. I dated this emergency room doctor who banned me from listening to Tupac. He took all of my CDs. And I said, you know what? I don't need those CDs. I got all the words memorized. Go ahead and keep them. You need them. And how could you not love Tupac? He loves humanity so much. And I lost all love for that doctor. I lost all love for him. And I went to find these people in this little community I live in to teach me how to put a rap song together. And that's how Tupac influenced me. I rap now because of that, because of what I just told you.
Wow. And so these 2 songs that you sent me, why don't you tell me about these 2 songs?
They don't even know the song. They ain't walking with you in the rain. They don't even know half the pain and sorrow. Listen, baby, the world is harsh, but mama's got your back. Don't you worry, your heart is my job too. Serve and protect you, got no problem putting one in someone's neck to protect you. I don't know how to start these bars. I get quiet, so I'm swaying heavy on my heart. I went and had these tests ran. I thought everything was fine, but they want me to go back. And I've never been so scared in my life. Literally, I would never want you to grow up without me. I can't stop my mind from racing.
Okay, the first song, Listen Baby. My husband got cancer, serious. Okay, let me back up. I'm going to back up a little. I'll give you the brief. My father died. All my life, he adopted me. He was actually my grandma. My grandma and grandpa raised me, and they adopted me, so I called them mom and dad. So when I say my father and my mother, they're actually my grandma and grandpa. But, so I would have someone to call mom and dad. I have a story much like Marshall Mathers. When I refer to my mom and dad, I'm actually saying, say my grandma and grandpa, but they adopted me, and so I would have someone to call mom and dad. They adopted me, so I would have someone to call mom and dad. But I knew all my life they were going to die when I was younger, because I knew all my life they were going to die when I was younger because of my grandma and grandpa. They're not like, a traditional child having their mom and dad raise them. So I was tortured by death all my life. I cried myself to sleep, worrying they're going to die. And I was tortured by death all my life. I really was, worrying about them dying. Well, my father died. And the night he died, I went back to the house I grew up in. And I turned on Tupac, Hold Your Head, and I just put it on repeat. And that's just played for 7-8 hours. And I sat there staring at the walls, numb. I didn't really feel anything. I was in shock. My dad died. I thought all my life when my dad died, I would want to go be where he is. I don't want to stay here. I want to go be where he is. And I was really close to my father. And I was really close to my mother too, but my father was just a little, it's a little bit different. He was crippled. My father was crippled. So I just had a little bit more of a sensitivity to my father because he had arthritis, severe arthritis. And I helped him all my life because, he had severe arthritis. He really was very crippled. So my father died. I went back to the house I grew up in. I turned on the Hold Your Head song. I put it on repeat, and I just sat there and stared at the walls. And all of a sudden, this orb shows up on my wall, and I didn't know what an orb was. I had no idea. But this bright light shows up on my wall, and it's kind of like jiggling a little. It looks like wet paint. And I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, that's not always been there. Like, what is that? It looks alive. And then I was like, oh, my God, that's my dad. I just knew it was my dad. I knew it. But I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what an orb was, right? So I got my phone and I took pictures of it. And I brought it back to my house where I live, and I showed people, and they're like, that's an orb. That's an orb. And I was like, that's my dad. And I know my dad put that orb on my wall because he heard me crying almost since 5th grade. I would cry at night writing these poems about worrying about my dad and mom dying. And I know my dad put that there so I would stop worrying, and there is an afterlife. I know he put it there. I know. I'm so confident that I could not even cry that my father died. I was so happy to know there's an afterlife and I'm going to get to see him again. I could not even cry. I was happy. It was the most glorious day ever. The day after my father died was the most glorious day because he showed me there's an afterlife and I'll get to see him again.
Wow.
And so, I have pictures of it. And so, I think that answered your question.
Yeah. Well, and so this song that you just wrote?
That's what the question was. The song, Listen Baby. Okay, my father died. And I found the Tupac CD. I had the Tupac CD. And I listened to Hold Your Head. And then my husband got cancer bad. And it went up into his stomach, up into his lung. He had the harshest chemotherapy you can get. He got home. He had 3 months of harsh chemotherapy. He literally lived at Roswell Cancer in Buffalo. And he got home. He had lost all of his hair. He looked like a ghost. He was pale white. And I'm trying to survive. I'm working at this company, and the boss is racist as fuck, excuse my language. He knew that I rapped, and he knew that I needed my job because my husband couldn't work, and he'd sit there and say the N-word to me. He'd say the N-word over and over, and I had to sit there and hold in. I felt like picking up things on my desk and just whipping it at his face. I did. I had violent thoughts because he would say that stuff on purpose because he knew that I rapped and I was around black people, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay. And I couldn't say anything about it because I needed my job. And so he would do it on purpose. So anyway, I would leave there so angry. I would leave there boiling over with anger because when someone says that to me, or I hear them say that, I think of Tupac. Like, you're talking to Tupac. You're saying hurtful things to Tupac. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I don't like that word. And you're degrading someone I love so much that held me up more than any person I know, and so that stuff really can boil me. Oh, that can boil my blood. And he knew that it did, so he would do it on purpose, knowing I had to sit there and put up with it because I needed my job. Well, anyway, I ended up getting fired from that job because I wrote a rap song in their parking lot. I recorded a little 16 bars in their parking lot on my lunch because I was so angry. And I went in the next day and they fired me because I rap, and they're not having anyone work there that hangs out with black people. Basically, is what I was told to my face. I said, I'm so stressed out, I don't know what to write. I can't remember the words right now. I'm so stressed out, I don't know what to write. Feeling like hold on. So stressed out, I don't know what to write. I can't remember the next bar. But I said, I'm so stressed out, I don't know what to write. Fuck this life. So much fuck up blunt. All these motherfuckers, they be having fun while I'm sitting here feeling like I'm constantly under the gun. Calm as a bomb, plotting on how I'm going to get myself up and out of all the situations. And you're goddamn right, I'm going to find a way. So anyway, I wrote this little song about how I'm going to get out of this job. And I recorded it in their parking lot on my lunch because I was so angry. And I went in the next day and they fired me because they don't want to, they don't employ people who are around black people and who rap. And so they end up firing me. So anyway,
which was probably a good thing, right?
It was, because I don't want to be around him anyway. You know, I don't want to be around. I'm not going to, listen, I am a hard worker. I'm efficient. I don't mess around. I go there. I'm going to raise the bar. And so I'm going to raise the bar for a racist? No, I don't think so. No, thank you. You know, I'm not raising the bar for a racist. I'm not. Because my work ethic is second to none. So anyway, I'm glad that I wasn't there forced to, you know, to raise the bar for a racist. So anyway, listen, baby. So my dad died. My husband got cancer. I started Full Sail University for music business. I worked my butt off. I took every second of it seriously. And I got salutatorian of my graduating class. While I was at Full Sail, I had a breast cancer scare, and I still got salutatorian. And I got that breast cancer scare in the hardest class there is at Full Sail, for me anyway. It was one of the top 3 hardest classes, and my professor was real. It was probably the hardest professor I've had, actually. It wasn't very friendly. He wanted to be called doctor. He was all proper. Anyway, long story short, I had this breast cancer scare in the hardest class. Oh, my gosh. And it stopped me in my tracks. I was never more petrified in my entire life because I have a 3-year-old. I don't want to leave here. I don't have a mom and dad. My parents both died. You know, I don't have anyone to leave him to. Who's going to take care of him and make sure he's okay. You know, all that stuff. And so, I started that song called Listen Baby. And then my friend Megan came and harmonized and made it 100 times more beautiful than it would have been. And then next thing I know, I've got a full-blown album. You know, I have an album called Half a World Away. And so that song now is a whole album. Now, so that's how Listen Baby got started, was I had a breast cancer scare while I was in college in the most intense class there was. And I wrote that song.
Wow. It's a beautiful song.
Thank you so much.
Actually, both the songs that you sent me, I really liked.
Thank you so much. You know, most of the time I like to rap about political issues, but I did get off a little bit, you know, when I had the breast cancer scare, so I did rap a little more like personal, you know, I got a little personal.
Yeah.
So, but my favorite thing to rap about is social issues.
Well, and Tupac was definitely an activist, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, do you think Tupac
I think that's what got him murdered.
Yeah. I mean, if he was alive, you think he could be quiet now? No way.
No, absolutely not. Because people are trying to say that he's alive, but you know, I wouldn't blame him if he did try to escape yeah, because they were out to murder him. Obviously, look, he was shot. How many times was he shot? You know.
Yeah. Well, the best defense.
So I wouldn't blame him if he went to hide.
The best defense on a murder beef is sorry, text messages going nuts today. The best defense on a murder beef is that the guy's still alive. And so they started the Tupac rumors of him being alive right after. And that's what happens when you get a criminal defense attorney who's involved in the planning and execution